Mengler.
Thank you. Hello. So, everyone can hear? Good? Yep.
All good? Sounds good? Lovely.
I am Austen Mengler. I'm a Perth artist and illustrator, and today we're going to draw some monsters. So, I'm using Photoshop here. I'll just give you a bit of background on me first. I love, video games and, I love monsters and stuff as a kid and was really into like Looney Tunes and art, and then my parents bought me all the toys for like small soldiers and all these like awesome games and movies, and I just, had a real passion for drawing, so I'd always like loved to draw the art and, I'd copy first and get really into it, and then when I got into video games, I was really interested in looking at the art behind the scenes. And so then I just started drawing and posting it online, DeviantArt, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. And I was getting a bit of recognition from some of my crazy fan art, like Cookie Monster eating children, undead unicorns, the general kind of stuff. And then I've just been working freelance for about 6 years since uni and high school, and just having a lot of fun and making my own books, making my own art, and having a blast with it. So today I'm going to go through and draw some creature concepts, but I need your help too. So, do we have any ideas for like a type of monster or a theme for which to generate a bunch of ideas?
So we can have
Anyone
things like
put their hand up for an
sci-fi
idea?
or, look, I'll come running to you so we can all hear it. Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Nice. So for the uninitiated, Cthulhu is like a kind of tentacle-faced, like H.P. Lovecraft god Cthulhu monster with octopus face and all that. So what I might do is just start drawing a few concepts, and then we'll pick the best one and see how it goes. So I'm just using Photoshop now, but you can easily do this traditionally as well. Being a Photoshop artist doesn't mean you don't do traditional. I like to do a whole mix of the two and, get a whole bunch of work happening. It's great to do a whole bunch of head concepts.
Can we hand those around so people can have a look at them? Or are we... it's okay, I'll make sure that nobody steals them.
Sure thing. Or you can hand these around, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's much better.
Scary sketches is good.
Have a look around.
Cool.
Have a look and then hand them on. I'll take them.
And I'll also be answering questions for the whole hour, so if anyone has a question at any time to better direct it, be sure to just let me know.
Put your hand up, I come running to you. That's how it works.
So I'll just be drawing really with line work, and I might try doing a bit of silhouette work as well. So I've just got a Wacom tablet here. That's an Intuos Pro. And it's Wacom are a great brand of digital drawing tablets, but as I mentioned, pen and ink illustrations are just as great, and doing a whole bunch of the two is really good. So I might just start doodling really loosely about maybe like some sort of tentacle monster with like some things. And when you're doing this, you want to be quite zoomed out when you're working. I'm just using the navigator here, and that's a great way to show your small little thumbnail of your piece. Because when I was first starting out, it was very easy to kind of like get really zoomed in and really draw an eye and get really into it, and then you zoom out and you've just done one little section. So you notice with things like magic cards and stuff like that, they work as a very small illustration as well as a detailed painting. And that's because it's important to get it working from that. So what I'll do is just make a whole bunch of different kind of artworks, and I'll put them all on kind of different layers. So there's the first one there. Pretty basic idea, maybe like a traditional Cthulhu, which is like a tentacle guy with some wings. That doesn't have to be pretty, and then you just make a new one. I'm just making a new layer. I've got a YouTube channel too, so you can definitely check out a lot of my more behind the scenes work and a lot of my traditional drawing demos as well. So that's another one done, and let's just try something different.
Okay, suggestions. Put a hand up if you've got an idea. We've had Cthulhu-esque. Let's go in a different direction. What is your suggestion? Balrog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Lord of the Rings fan. My got a few Cthulhu's. I might keep going on that kind of theme to try and work a good composition first, and then I think a Balrog would be really cool. So yeah, in Photoshop, I'm just using quite a standard brush, but you can get a whole bunch of different brushes here and download them from online communities like DeviantArt or forums and stuff. And this is how I do a lot of the texture work and stuff like that. You still want to have a very strong understanding of the fundamentals when you're using brushes, but they're very good for like adding a bit of fine tuning, and special effects afterwards. So you can see there's a kind of blood splatter brush, and then all that, but we'll get to that a bit later. So for now, I'll just finish up this one Cthulhu dude. Maybe he's got like some pretty crazy wings there. Just add a white background so that we don't get confused. But yeah, what I'm just doing here is showing you that the first ideas you come up with can always kind of be the most like generic or the most kind of things you might think up just subconsciously. So it's always great to exhaust all your imagination, because you've always got like quite a few different ideas up there in your sleeve. You're just going to get past the harder ones to start. And yeah, as these are just like thumbnail sketches, which just means like the size of a thumbnail or something small to get the ideas going, you just want to keep it pretty loose and pretty basic. So that might be a nice idea for number 2. I've got that guy there. See, it's already getting a bit better. You have to warm up your noggin. So I might do one more Cthulhu and then we'll go to some Balrogs. So this time I might try something from a different angle. And you can do this by using block shapes in like black silhouette, or you can just sketch with a kind of harder brush to get some cool kind of textures happening. But as I mentioned before, you just want to be working on the fundamentals to start, and you can use them for more finishing touches as you go on. Did anybody have any questions or anything like that? Be sure to give me a holler.
And remember, the books are still moving around as well, so you can check those out.
So what I'm doing now is just zooming out and using a free transform to kind of get a new perspective on the piece. This guy's kind of similar to the first one. So what you can always do is change your kind of artwork and flip it around. The old masters used to do this as well with traditional work by holding a mirror up to the painting just to get a new kind of look at it. Because when you're drawing something, especially when you get into like hour, 2 hours, like 10 hours, you can get very accustomed to how it looks. So when you're working on a piece, especially in Photoshop, the luxuries of digital art let you really edit your piece, and you have to be quite liberal with how you kind of go for it. You can't just keep it too sacred. You have to just, if it doesn't look right, just get rid of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so this one is kind of more of a body shot. You might be a little cute little Cthulhu demon. Oh, look at him. Maybe I should give him a little hat. And then yeah, that's a cool one. So you can see already I'm warming up my brain. I'm getting a bit better, and because a lot of the time you start and you get into the big ideas, and then it's good to get your juices flowing.
So at the beginning of the day, would you do just a few warm-up sketches and everything like that before really moving into the main?
Yeah, definitely. I find art is a great, it's so lucky for me to be able to do it as more of a job. But it's still great, art therapy as well. So if you're I've got a lot of emails and stuff to do, it's always great to just draw first, because it gets you really motivated at the start of the day. Like when you wake up, you can just do some drawings, and it really helps you kind of remember why you do it all and get your looser ideas. But yeah, you just do a lot of kind of speed painting art where I'll set a time limit and then I'll, try and do a piece in like an hour or two. But even when you're doing that, it's good to, time yourself in small increments as well. And it'll be the same for if you're doing traditional work. You want to always be, and then if you time yourself, you get a better understanding of how long like 10 minutes really is. And if you do it for 10 minutes, then you can see how it is. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, it was only 10 minutes. So that really saves you from spending a whole day, trying to get something working when it's boring, and then you would have been better off just trying again and getting past those ideas of the new ways. So yeah, sorry if this is a bit messy. It's talking and drawing is a bit hard. So, but you definitely get used to it, and it's a lot of fun to narrate as well.
It's actually something that's become very obvious to a lot of us who work here. We do a thing called the Superstar Sketch-Off, where we get a bunch of comic book artists and they have 30 minutes to do an artwork, and it's competitive. The one thing we've learned is that if you make the artists talk, they stop drawing. Which is one of those things that if you particularly like a particular artist and you want them to win, you just ask questions of everybody else. So in this case, you can just ask questions of Austen, and then nothing will happen for the rest of the panel. No, I want you to ask questions. When you say you work digitally to begin with, you also, is it sometimes just to work on a bit of pen and paper, just as sort of those warm-up type things?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I really find that traditional work can still really help you, and there's just something about holding a pencil and getting a feel for the paper that I just prefer personally. It's a lot of fun working digitally, obviously, but sometimes I do like to start a piece traditionally, and then I'll scan it high res in Photoshop with my scanner. So probably 600 or 300 DPI, which is dots per inch. I think 300 is the standard for printing. My printer can do 600, so I'm like, why not? But yeah, you just want to do, and then you scan that and you can use it as a base. But you still want to keep the whole loosey-goosey approach, Sometimes in the past I've been, scanning pencil work, and then it's like, I get very stuck on the pencil work, and it'd be much better if I got rid of it, and then you just have to keep it loose, because, Photoshop is a great tool. I'm on the photography program I think they have now. They used to have the packages, which were quite, expensive, and rightly so. But I think on the photography program now they do where you lease it, and it's only about $10 a month, and you can get Photoshop, the latest version, and then you can also get Lightroom, which is a nice photo editing kind of software. But yeah, I'm just rambling, so be sure to, thanks for asking questions, man.
Yeah, I like asking questions. Because I used to do a lot of work, just sort of graphic design type stuff, and I always found that the pencil, I don't know, there was a certain thing where you go from pencil to digital that you do get locked into a certain, like what you've drawn before. And sometimes if you start digital to begin with, because you've got an undo straight away, then you can kind of, sorry, I just noticed something you didn't, I thought that was awesome. So were you just drawing with the select tool?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, drawing with a pen tool is a great way to transition like that. But there's a lot of things you can do in Photoshop. So another thing, this is the select tool. So if you wanted to, draw a head or a block kind of shape, and then you can just draw a silhouette like that. And you can totally just, pick a color, maybe a crazy blue, and then you just make a selection. And also what you can do with the layer properties here, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but this is the lock transparency, which makes it so that you can't draw outside of that object you just drew. So if I wanted to refine the silhouette first, I could, add a bit of It's a lot of practice, you know. Like there's no real kind of easy way to learn besides just jumping in and then getting accustomed to it. There's a lot of great tutorials online on YouTube or more sites like Gumroad, which is a great tool for short tutorials. But it's a lot of practice. It takes years to get to a good level. So the sooner you start chipping away at that, the sooner you start really just jumping in and doing traditional studies as well, like life drawing, working in charcoal, working in different mediums. It's all part of like training your brain to get better. So if you learn traditional stuff, then you can go into a digital realm, and it will really help out when you start to check out the ideas. But yeah, as for some pieces can take like, I think this one was maybe 8 to 10 hours all up, but that would be over several weeks. Sometimes I work on a lot at once. The bonus and also the minus of working in a sketchbook is you have a lot of whole book of stuff and then you scan it all, you've got all this work you have to finish, so it's like, so it's a lot of fun, but a lot of practice as well. But sometimes like timing yourself is a great way to get work done better. Otherwise, it's lots of different mediums. So I just had an idea. We had some Cthulhu's at the start. Maybe I should make a Valron Cthulhu. You see, even under the pressure of all you lovely people, I can think of things. So, are there any questions at all?
Yes, we have one from Cassie back here.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Hi, I was just wondering about backgrounds. How do you do background first or afterwards, and preferences for how you do backgrounds?
So, how do you do backgrounds?
Yeah, it's obviously you want some standout background, the way you kind of
I've recently discovered a good way of doing that. So when you scan your pencil work, it can come stuck on the kind of the white. So you have the black and the white on one. So I'll just show you here like a little preview. I'll recreate it. So I'll just make a white layer, and then I'll just draw a little skull face here. Because when you get your artwork scanned, obviously it's all just like a photograph. But to work on the background, it's really good to separate your line work from your background. So that's all on one layer, you see. Like these other ones here, I've got the white layer here, and then I'm just drawing on black. So if I were to like create a different background behind that, it would just make the kind of color go underneath the artwork. So to give you an example, you can just do that and then clean it up. But obviously when you scan a piece, it's all on one layer. So obviously if you were to try and color that, sorry my voice is already going, and the way I used to do it was make a multiplier layer, and then it's the same effect, but it's harder when you get to wanting to make one color in the foreground and then one in the background, because if you have two multiplied layers, say I wanted to give this guy kind of a black background, it doesn't really work, because even though that one there is above this one, they're both multiplied, which means that it only affects the white of the image. So a great way to do it that I've recently learned out, and I've put a little demo on my YouTube channel, you can actually select white of your canvas. I think I'm not sure on the actual command. I know the shortcut is Control-Alt-2. So that just selects all the white, and then if you just press delete, then you can see that's deleted all the white. And then if you want to do that again, you can put the line work above the color this time, and it will be like that. And then afterwards, if you make it all normal layers, then that's a great way of separating the line work. So then you can obviously add a black kind of background, and then it's just a quicker way of working. And then you've got all your kind of different components of your piece, all kind of on separate layers, which is nice and organized. So yeah, you want to be organized when you're working, and then obviously you can just move them around and it doesn't affect the background or anything like that. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's a bit of a tip. But yeah, I'll keep working on the Balrog Cthulhu dude. Do we have another suggestion for a topic of monster?
Oh, we've got a topic and then we've got another question. What is your suggestion? Shadow Man.
Shadow Man.
As in a character from the comic book Shadow Man? Or
Like the Nothing Man.
that's kind of creepy. Nothing Man, or like a man made entirely of shadows. Enderman, or
Got my book running around, My Shadows. This is the thing. So yeah, I'll just finish this guy. He's a bit of a slug.
just wave at me who has the books. There's one here, where's the other? Over there, lovely. Now we had a question from Christina here as well.
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you get all the inspiration for your really nightmarish imagery that you have to put on?
Inspiration? Yeah, all over really. It's such a hard question because it's like, you know, as a human being, we're all kind of like sponges. We just take in everything, and then when you're drawing, you never know what will come up later on. Like, obviously you can take inspiration, like, intentionally from, you know, I personally love looking at video games, looking at creatures and characters, and then, you know, looking at like the natural world as well, animals, deep sea fish, like, you know, as you look at that, you kind of realize that all the depictions of aliens and monsters and all that kind of gnarly stuff, you know, we're only humans, so we've only got what we have to work with, so it's all like inspired by the natural world and deep sea fish and like insects, and then mixing that with humans as well. So yeah, I don't know, like I love music as well. Like I listen to a lot of heavy metal, electronica. I like to space out and just you know, get really into the beat and get pumping. Sometimes it's great to you know, kind of rely more on your subconscious when you're working, because otherwise you can get a bit too you can think yourself out a bit too much. So for the Shadow Man, I might use a bit of a textured brush here. So this is just one downloaded from DeviantArt, which is more of a fingerprint type kind of a texture. So it's great to work up your silhouettes.
I've noticed that anytime we ask a question, you stop. So I'm
sorry.
No. But the questions are good. What is your question?
I noticed in a lot of your art you've got a lot of things on muscles and tendons and everything. Have you looked much into how like animals are under their skin?
Yeah, definitely. Like you can get great anatomy books on drawing, as I mentioned before. Like fundamentals are so important. You know, doing life drawing and where you try and do quick sketches, that is such a great way to train you to get out of the whole, you know, drawing an eyeball for an hour kind of thing. I've been recently attending life drawing at Perth, which is just at Perth University, and it's a great way to, you know, loosen up. You start off, you do a bunch of 10, like about 30-second or a minute sketches, and then you can really see that you loosen up, because as you progress to the 2-minute, 3-minute kind of, that looks a bit silly, a whole bunch of like longer poses, you can really see that the warm-ups you did really help with the longer ones too. So that looks ridiculous, but I'll add in some draws. But yeah, it's great to make sound effects when you're working, make creepy noises, try and look in the mirror for expressions and stuff.
Do you perform your characters, like, and do they have voices sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Like, it's great to get in the mindset of your work and your pieces. Like, a lot of them are like, I feel that they're like part of me in a way, you know? They're all part of my brain box, so it's great to just get stuck into the theatrics of it as well. But yeah, you know, fundamentals, as I was saying, really important. So, and looking at anatomy books of like the human skeleton and then going to a museum is a great way to practice too. Like seeing all the animals, seeing people like split open and stuff. It's it's all good for your brain. You kind of have to, when you're drawing from life, you kind of have to think of it as you're like kind of scanning blueprints, like in the Matrix, into your brain, and then you never know when it might come useful later on. Like you'll be drawing something, and if you're having trouble, try and do some studies, try and take a break. I wouldn't say study directly into the piece you're working on. Sometimes it's good to take a break and do a study, and then try and do it again to see what you remember, and then you can apply it to your own piece. So that is the Shadow Man first one. As I mentioned before, it's great to, if you're getting stuck, try and start again. We're still in just the thumbnail sketch phase, so these are all just brain farts that you want to just get out as quick as possible. Sorry for the vulgar image there.
Different brushes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's I've got a lot here obviously, but I mainly just stick to a couple really. Like you don't want to like get too into it. You don't want to rely on the brushes. I'm saying they're good for replicating traditional mediums, but you don't want to just stick with rely on them too much. And you want to still have the fundamentals there. I'm saying. So, definitely fun though, and you can just try it out. If it works for you, maybe keep it on. If you can't, just delete it and go on to something else. But yeah, and you can always totally make your own brushes in Photoshop too. You can try different techniques and see what works for you. Kind of doing a little brother or sister to the Cursed King here. So do we have any other suggestions for maybe a fourth theme, and then we'll pick the best one and see
Maybe
what we
Psychos
got.
from Borderlands.
Oh, Borderlands, yeah, that's a cool one. I like post-apocalyptic stuff, so Borderlands is definitely where I'm at.
Question? I'll go back to you. A suggestion of a topic. We've got Psychos from Borderlands at the moment. Okay. Do you have any questions that you've ever wanted to ask about an artist? Yes, there's one here.
Do you work in black and white when you start, and then go to colour, or do you switch it up, or does it depend on the drawing?
Yep, I mainly work in black and white to start, because I find if you can make it work in black and white kind of composition, it can work really well as a colour piece too. But it's great to try different things all the time. Sometimes I'll do a colour piece, maybe put down colours first, and then you can always go over it a whole bunch and drop out sections or add a adjustment layer. These are all the adjustment layers down here, and you can add a whole bunch of like black and white layer, and then maybe start on color, and then switch to black and white just to see how it looks. But there's no real strict rules with it. Just definitely try and find what works for you. But personally, I love working in black and white first, and then adding the color. I used to collect Warhammer kind of artwork and the miniatures. So I think a lot of my digital painting is very based on that kind of approach too, like starting with a grayscale kind of like image or a model, adding the base coat, and then trying to work on the highlights and all that. But you definitely want to just practice a whole bunch of different ways, and then see what works for you. All right, we've got some Psychos. And if I was actually drawing like a specific character, definitely you want to look at reference photos, look at the internet. I mean, it's such a great tool that we always, myself included, just take for granted. But there's awesome, I'll touch on live drawing again, there's an awesome website called quickpose.com, and you can actually set out how long you want to spend on each picture. Say maybe, I'll work on hands for an hour, and then each one will only be like a minute or two or have an EV set, and then it's like a slideshow. So you just, you can sit there in Photoshop or with a sketch pad, and you totally can just draw from the artwork, from the image, and then make your own artwork. It's a great way to learn.
Essentially, that's like having your own life drawing class online whenever you want it.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and it helps, make it a more like your actual environment. Like if you go to a life drawing class, the great thing is you don't get to choose what pose the model does. So, maybe if you went to Google and just said, okay, I need to work on some people, you don't need subconsciously pick easier images. But, if you go to a life drawing class and the model sits with their knees towards you, you're like, oh God, what is that? What is all that knee happening there? So it's a great way of replicating that. But, if you just try and break it down to quick gestural drawings, starting out with circles like this is a great way to try and get your pose, and then you can build it up from there. Like it's just great to get a structure, and then you just add the kind of muscles. And this is in Photoshop, so I'm just using it on layers. But if you're doing it in traditional, you can definitely just do it with a very light pencil, and then you might want to go over it with ink. So say that was the pencil work there, then I have a base and I can just work on more of the form, and have fun with all that. Anyways, I think we need to select some of our best work here now. So, what I'm going to do, take all these little buddies here, buddies, whatever you want to call them, things, and you want to just put them all together so that you can see a whole bunch of all the kind of rough sketches that you've done. Because when you do like this many in a row, like maybe 10 to 20 pieces, you can totally forget like what you did at the start. And it's just a great way to as I mentioned, get the ideas churning, get a whole bunch of artworks happening at once. Alright, I'll just zoom in a little. For this page here, I'm just working very small. So it's only about, an A4 page at less than 300 dpi, just because my laptop's a little slow. But the good thing about doing this many initial concepts is you don't get bogged down into a final piece, and then you're like, oh no, I did it at the wrong resolution, or oh no, I did it wrong. It's still, even if I wanted to enlarge this later on, I could just make it bigger again and, work from there and use that as a base.
I noticed that you're actually left-handed. Does it mean, working digitally, is that easier as a left-hander than working physically with
yeah, not really. With my sketch pads, I usually have them back to front because they're upside down, so I don't have to put my hand on the spine. But apart from that, it's pretty easy. Like you just gotta, with the Wacom tablet, there's a lot of different options you can do. So you can make them, left orientated or right orientated, and it's just a great way of working left or right handed. Were there any other questions anyone had?
I don't know, wave at me. If you've got a question, yes, back there. Wait.
Do you have any tips on making poses from your imagination?
It's kind of sound like a broken record, but yeah, just do a lot of practice of life drawing and fundamentals. They're great for loosening you up. And then when you do come to draw from your imagination, you'll find it's a little bit easier. Each time you do it, it's chipping it away, There's no one's going to become a master overnight, per se. You just have to think of it as, okay, I have 10,000, okay, well, pictures in me. The sooner I start chipping away at the bad ones, the sooner I'll get to the good ones. But yeah, there's a lot of awesome forums, and DeviantArt has a lot of great stock photography as well. So they're great for looking at, just to look at interesting poses. And yeah, as I mentioned, just try and recreate it in as few strokes as you can to try and get the quick kind of sketches down. Alright, so we've got a whole selection of beasties here. Just to make it a bit easier to see. So, in a second, oops, hello. I shall number all these dudes. And then we'll see which one is the winner.
Somebody wave at me if you've got the other book, the other art book.
Alright, so we got 10 cutters. These guys are pretty similar. I might add some more details to make them a bit different. I had the idea here, I might have some guy in the bag. Something like that. Alright. So, them are the monsters. Who's keen for number one? Show of hands. Nobody. So I'll do a little tally. No.
Ooh.
You got no love there, boy.
Nobody loves the cuckoo.
I shouldn't do that. What if no one picks any of the others? Okay, so that's one. Who's keen for number two?
Make some noise.
Anybody?
If you like it, actually applaud. That's a nice way of us knowing.
Alright.
Thus far, very quiet on number two.
Number three. Anybody? Woo. Okay, so I need a number though. How many?
Okay, I'd rate that as a 5.
Is that about 5?
Yeah.
Do you want to do a quick show of hands as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
geez, okay, more than 5.
yeah. Okay, let's.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about 10, I think.
Okay, well that's.
Number 4. Oh my gosh. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's a lot.
Yes. Somewhere around 18, maybe?
Yeah, I counted about 22.
Yep.
Number 5. Nope, no
Nobody.
bites. Number 6. How about if I give him a flaming sword?
7,
Oh, there you go.
8.
About 8.
8, yeah.
Number 7.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You're not allowed to do it twice, Adam. Is that about 8?
That was about 8, yes.
Then we have a winner. Who's number 8? Anybody? No.
One person like number 8.
Lucky number 8. I should print it out and give you a print. Anyone for number 9? Or 10?
Number 10, nope.
Cool. We got number 4. Woo. Thank you so much, guys. Give yourself a round of applause.
Yay.
All right. So, what we're going to do now, these are all the windows, by the way, so you can just drag them and drop them however you like, which is pretty handy. I've got the history tool, and I've got the navigator, and I've got all the layers here. So I'll hide all the layers except number 4. Oops, not the one, no, need that. So what I might do now is, when you do make a final, you want to, I might even make a new document to try and make it a little bit bigger. So this is just a new document. I might make it about 300 and then about A4 size. And yeah, you can either put it portrait or landscape, however you want. I might have a go at making it a landscape one. And then I'm just using Control T, which is free transform, to manipulate the artwork. You can go image rotation, or you can go edit, free transform as well. And each one has an assigned shortcut, so it's easy to get the shortcuts happening. And if you get a Wacom tablet too, they have all these little buttons here, which are really good for editing artwork on the fly. Not essential by any means, but they're just really good for speeding up the process. Alright, so I might edit this dude a little bit. Maybe make him some sort of skeletal kind of demon. Kind of nightmarish shadow dude. I'll go into my brushes a bit. I might make a silhouette like I did before, and then I'll add in some effects and some different colors as well.
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Cool. Well, I might have to make it a little short one, but definitely check out my YouTube channel as well. I've got a lot of behind the scenes content, and I've just launched my new website as well, austenmengler.com. So if you have any inquiries or anything later on, be sure to hit me up. Alright, so what I've been thinking of, as I mentioned before, and also be sure to save your work. Control S. Very important step. Because do not trust technology, they are out to get you. That's not not a good thing to say. I've had a lot of instances where I've lost work before, so it's a very good lesson to learn. See, what I'm doing here is just editing on the fly. You know, I'm kind of not happy with his hand there, so I might, you know, maybe cut it out and paste it on a new layer, and then I can definitely free transform it however I want, or if I wanted, I can completely just redraw it again.
Hey, so can I ask, what's all your social media stuff?
Yeah, it's all pretty much just the art of Austen Mengler. If you just wanted to grab a card from my stand 45 or search my name, or go to but yeah, so I'll just put that down there. Whenever you're posting work online, it's great to tag your work, especially if you're like getting it a bit popular, because you never know who might share it or who might see it. So here I've got a nice silhouette happening here. I'll keep it pretty basic so I can show you some of the other kind of techniques. So I might use another, I might hide that so I can see more of it. I might use some more of the splatter kind of textures. There's a whole bunch of brushes here that I've got, and they're just from, you know, trial and error, trying some out. But you can get a lot of nice effects just by lightly touching with the Wacom tablet. It's pressure sensitive, so you know, if I do it very lightly like that, it just feathers it in. Or if I press very hard, it's you know, much harder. And then the history brush, the history tool is just kind of like an undo feature, which is kind of like an extended Control Z. So what I might do is just add a bit of a face. You want to focus your details a bit so that you know where the viewer is going to look first. You have to kind of imagine how people are going to see your artwork and kind of make it pop from the get-go. Like, especially this day and age with social media and Facebook and all that, like realistically, when people are scrolling through a lot of posts, you really need to grab them from the get-go. So I might add a bit of inner glow there, and then I might build it up a bit more with some more splatter brushes. These ones are kind of more blood splatter kind of textures. And some of them are just a kind of simple stamp, while others are more of a layered effect that you can too, because when you're working digital, it can really get a bit tedious. But no, it's great to experiment with different techniques and also maybe bring in some photo textures as well if you want to subtly add a bit of more realism. So now that I got that black and white, I might add a little bit of colour. A good way to add colour when you're using line work is more of a multiply layer, as I showed before. But otherwise, if you want, you can also experiment with the other colour functions. This one here is called color dodge. So that is kind of like an intense highlight that creates a nice glow. So if I focus it on the kind of white areas, it'll really make all the kind of black of the artwork pop up. And then of course what you can do is use a kind of textured brush to bring in your colors as well. So that's like double the amount of kind of effects you might have going on. But you definitely don't want to overpower your piece with too many textures everywhere. You want to definitely keep it readable and keep it legible. So now that I got that bit kind of red, you might want to I can always go into my layers, add a new layer, and then build up more of the definition with just a normal brush. But yeah, so this piece is more of just a kind of a painting piece. But yeah, if you were doing line work, you just definitely want to keep it all kind of organized and keep your layers all tiny. So here is his creepy arm. Weird little curve on the brush there, which makes it look pretty cool.
Unfortunately, Austin, we're almost out of time, my friend.
Almost out of time.
You've got about a minute.
No worries. But yeah, sorry I didn't get to as much as I could today, guys, but hope it was kind of useful. Thanks again for watching. And yeah, as I mentioned, be sure to check out our stuff online for more art, more fun stuff. And I'm at the booth stand 45 if you want to check out some more work. Thank you very much.
So you're at stand 45 looking to come over. Are you working at your stand?
Kind of working the crowd. But yeah, I'm working and I've got my prints and sketchbooks and way more stuff to check out.
Awesome.
So yeah, thanks very much guys, I really appreciate it.
Give another round of applause to Austen Mengler.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. What have we got